What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today, or I should say this week, we got the Coreforge Echo, a new artifact you can obtain from the quests. It is in the season quests. Up here you can see it needs to get, you need to have the monthly benefit from having a Classic Gazette or Premium Gazette activated, and then you could get the Coreforge Echo this week, otherwise you get it next week. And this artifact, when I first took a look at it, I thought, well, this is really cool. I thought maybe this is like the damage meta that is coming for Dream Realm. Maybe this is something for PvP, because what it says, when the battle starts, create a magic sigil beneath the rearmost ally, and while standing on the sigil, the ally becomes unaffected, gains 35 haste and 15% damage reduction. And of course, it reminded me of one thing. My favorite hero, Hugin, you know it, he is now at Crown, which is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I was so jealous of Brownie for having him upgraded. Now I have him too, which is great. So Hugin now in the team, and Hugin does the same, he creates like a sigil behind him. So I thought, well, those are kind of made to be together, and I wanted to make some cool stuff happen with it. And we are going to take a look at some stuff I found out, some combinations that I tried, some combinations that didn't work, some combinations that did work, and why I don't think it's really going to be Dream Realm meta. And maybe we just start with a little bit of a demonstration. This is already like something cool. So we're going to fight Turtle Legs. I already set everything up there, so let's just fight this dude. 77.9 million power. Look at that, guys. What a whale. That is absolutely insane, even with the cosmetics from the last season. Madness. So, this is the team that I kind of experimented a little bit with. We have to keep in mind my Dino Supreme Plus, a little bit of a sadness. This wasn't the first hero that I wanted to try. The first hero that I wanted to try was Kulu. Kulu was the first hero that came to mind. And we can kind of try it. I mean, this team will probably work with her as well. Kulu is largely staying at the same position throughout the fight. Like, if you check out the position at the start and at the end of the fight, she is usually at the same position, has a range of 6, which is pretty solid. Granted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so... But overall, she usually stays there. That was until I had to find out one pretty sad thing. We see this blue thing, this is from the artifact. It gets cast by Merlin, and as long as Merlin has his hand up and makes a circle, she's on there. And we will see this will end in a second, and she will no longer have this buff. And the reason for that is quite saddening. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. This just ended. And what Kulu does is she has one ability where she dashes over to an enemy, kicks them back to the other side, essentially, and that is a pretty cool ability usually, because this ability allows her to remove enemies from her side. So here we have it. Kulu teleports to the nearest enemy, dealing 150% damage to that enemy and knocking them into the air, then returns to original tile. And I always thought it was like, it's not really movement in that sense, because she's always just back on that original tile. Turns out, yes, this is movement. She really does move across the board, even though she is invincible during that thing and returns to the same tile. This is movement, and every time she casts this ability, she will interrupt Coreforge Spell, which is really, really sad. So this was like the first thing that I found out. Meaning we have to kind of find other heroes to do the same. So next up, same idea. I thought, who else is cool, doesn't move too much and stands like really on one tile. I had 2 heroes that came to mind. First one being Shamira, obviously a cool hero, and the next one being Siren. I don't want to show Siren. Siren works. You can like put him there. It is not very flashy. He just casts his ult a little bit quicker. But due to his ult being on the board so long, you don't really get to profit that much from haste, which is a bit sad. So Shamira was a lot cooler. But when I tried Shamira, I noticed she has only a range of 4, which is a little bit sad, honestly. So what we need to do to kind of make her work is kind of position the Hugin over here. We have to position this guy here and this guy there, and then it kind of works. So can kind of see it. We still have the markers there from the Kulu. Interesting. We don't have a wall actually, but the markers were still there, even though we removed her. It reminds me a little bit of the problem they had with Siren. So she actually stays there, and she's at the ult pretty quick. We are 5 seconds into the fight now. Got the ult from her set up already. And yeah, that works in general. That is not double speed, by the way. That is just ×1 speed. I wanted to accentuate how fast this actually is, because this is a fairly quick fight. He's casting a second ult right now. So this works fairly well. It's just a little bit of an awkward positioning where you have to place Hugin like that far to the front. You could combine this with Kulu, maybe instead of Leica. Leica helps a little bit with the energy as well, keep that in mind. And then you still get the wall, and in theory Shamira could shoot over that, so that would work. And the cooler one, and the one where I was like, yeah, okay, the little bit dash of Kulu works as movement, but this doesn't, was an entirely different team. And that is Dionel. Dionel is actually a hero I just have at Supreme Plus, so it's not that strong. We're fighting full P4 there with 1 P3 or 2 P3s against Turtle, so that is something that definitely is to our disadvantage. We will still see some very solid damage, but just keep in mind, this would do a whole lot more and be a whole lot faster if we had a P4 Dionel. This guy has a movement ability. That is something I want to note. He has movement ability. If he gets hit too often, what will happen is that he will move to another tile. So it says flashes to a better attacking position if not in a good spot, triggered once every 6 seconds. Usually he doesn't move. It just depends a little bit on your positioning. If he just starts taking damage, I noticed that he starts moving. We can see immediately he gets enough temporary buffs to trigger his Mythic Plus. There it comes. Pretty huge true damage normally. And then we have to wait for him to fill up his ult with, of course, him being just Mythic Plus takes a little bit of a while longer. And now the interesting part really, once he goes into there, you can see he still has the buff. The buff is still there. So this is super crazy. The buff is still there even though this guy is in the air. Meaning, really, this is no movement. He stays on the same tile. He's just a little bit higher in the air. And of course, he can keep collecting his buffs. And that allows him to wipe a full enemy P4 and P3 team. 30 billion damage right here. Absolutely crazy. So that is truly something that I wanted to show you guys. Okay, short throw in here from the cutting of this video. Brownie Games, Mr. Brownie himself was so kind that he set up his P3 Dionel for me to show you this squad in a little bit of a more enhanced manner. And we got 2 clips, one where it works out as I wanted to and one where, well, it completely fails if I'm honest. But it's still super cool to watch, so I wanted to show you both of these clips really quickly, so let's get into that. Okay, this is clip number 1. Fairly insane. I had to set up the team entirely differently to avoid this Dionel moving, which probably indicates that it's not, well, really a viable strategy, but still it is fairly cool to watch. So what you want to check out here is this Dionel. He stands on that tile behind the Hugin for the full 10 seconds that it requires the Coreforge Spell to give him the extra haste buff. And then, let's take a look, goes into the air right now. And then you can see how quickly this guy throws his spears. That's an absolute madness. And clears up my team super quickly there. And yeah, some insane damage that is going on. He also has the P4 Leica, which is an absolute beauty. So this was the one where it worked. And then I thought, okay, let's kind of check the damage output. Let's see what this can really do. So I built a little bit of a sustain team, a team with only supporters really. And I was a little bit surprised by Callan. So let's take a look at that too. So on this one I got trolled. You can see I have the full support team here. I tried to keep them together because when they move, the Dionel will actually try to reposition, gets all the buffs, gets everything, and once he goes into the air, I think you will see what the problem was in the end. Mike Helen performed a bit too well for my test, if I'm honest, but shows all the more how much of an important unit this guy can really become in PvP, and I think for many teams he already is an absolute top choice for the slots. So you can see he moves over to the enemy side, which I thought, well, I already said it in the review, it's a little bit of a weird thing. It would be nice if he stood closer to the allies really, but you see, tanked the full ult. My P1 Scalita can't really do a whole lot against the enemy team. And we will see another ult there from Dionel. I'll put it on double speed now. So, because this fight is fairly long and I really want to show you all this madness, you can see right on time for the Dionel to get the next ult. Mike Callan goes into his ult as well, and you see him with the Hugin shield on there. Just the Dionel trying to chip away on this Callan, not really getting through there. gets through there at the Hewen, and the Hugin nearly starts getting the next shield, and he's back into his ult. He now moved behind the Hugin, seemingly to get a little bit more attack from this guy, which of course doesn't work, but I thought the positioning was funny because now it's perfectly aligned for him to just use my Hugin to get attack. He just thought, okay, let's get through this Callan. Doesn't work. Drinks another bit of nectar there just to get through, and this Hugin is still healthy, getting more and more shields. The Callan is still healthy. As you can see, he's just taking it. Doesn't really matter to him at all. Big numbers popping up, and you see the rate at which they pop up is absolutely insane. I think if he stayed behind his own Hugin, it probably would have been a better fight there, a better chance for him. Of course, I'm the attacker in this situation, so in about 4 seconds we're going to lose this fight. And this Hugin, look at this, is absolute madness. So the numbers here are insane. Take a look at this, 356 million damage tanked, 140 million on the Hugin, 132 million on the Hewen. So in terms of tanking, absolutely insane. The damage output on the Dionel, actually quite insane too, even though it didn't seem that well in this video. I don't know what to say to you about this. I would have fully expected him to really cut through those units with ease, really, but he seemingly wasn't able to. So, not too sure. I mean, Dionel, a little bit of a wonky unit anyway in today's meta. Probably, I mean, with Athalia, would have Athalia made it there? I mean, with the artifact, that she's not really relevant to this artifact. But I wonder if she would have and would have killed this Callan. So that is a question that, I mean, will remain unanswered, but I really want to show you guys these two clips. So is this now the PvP meta? Well, we have to talk about some interactions with this artifact as well, and for that let's go a little bit closer to the text. First of all, we have attack, fizz def, magic def, and haste. Haste being of course pretty good, attack in general also quite nice. We saw other skills in the past, sometimes there's crit on those, which can be really good, so decent enough stats, I would guess, that we have overall here. On this thing, on the Seagull, giving us 35 haste and 15 damage reduction, and later on, and this is also what I was referring with this in the air, also getting another 50 haste is very, very good. So we have a ton of haste that we can get through. This is later on gets up to range active for 10 seconds, up to 75 extra haste. So you can see how much extra this is. They're giving us over 110 haste, insane. The problem that I have with this is, like, it says that you get unaffected. And I was kind of reminded by that of like the enlightening spell, granting us control immunity, making us essentially immune to CC effects, which was widely used. We can check this out now though. So again, our Dionel is backmost hero, but keep in mind we have the mark over here from the enemy Sylvina, and I want you to keep an eye out on that Dionel. So, start of the fight, we have the Seagull, enemy Sylvina gets Nero buff, teleports over, and we are stunned. You can see the little twirl here. So despite us being, well, getting control immunity, we are stunned nonetheless, so we don't have like the insane protection that we get, for example, from an enlightening spell. We can compare these two starts of the fight here. So same situation with enlightening spell right now. Lightning spell, of course, on the Dionel is the artifact that is classically used there. We can see no stun at all, denied by the control immunity that we have. And thus, so this artifact, despite saying it grants us control immunity, can't really protect us from control. Would have had the the positioning there wasn't, of course, quite that good, because now we don't have it anymore. Interesting thing though, we should reacquire it fairly soon. We should, when we have this situation where we move to another position, we actually reacquire it after some time. So it's not working in the way that it then selects the next backmost hero and gives them the Seagull. It stays with the hero that is backmost from the start. So even when our Dionel moves to this position, we are right now, and I have to remind you that we have enlightening spell on this guy, he will reacquire it. He will reacquire the Seagull and the buff and everything, and then make use of it later, but you don't really want that. So you can have a hero that moves a little bit at the start of the fight. So for example, which hero would that be? A hero that came to my mind that moves at the start of the fight and then doesn't move any longer really is Talene. Talene is a hero that moves really one time, and if you then have a proper feet of HP restoration to her, then she will do her ult throughout the entire fight. We saw this multiple times. And you can use that on her. You can place her that she's the backmost hero at the start of the fight, then she will do her ult, probably no longer be the backmost hero in this specific situation, and the artifact will start giving her the buff again after a little bit of a waiting time, where you can see are lost for 3 seconds before the sigil relocates beneath the ally's new position. We had in the last season an artifact, I think it was called Glacial Spell. This one would always reselect the newest frontmost hero. So there's a stark contrast here. We have this, we can reapply this. Then in this situation, when I noticed how this works, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I mean, we can kind of make this work for Dream Realm, can't we? And I mean, in a way you can. The current teams look something like this. So this would be one team that we have right there. If we were to equip now the Coreforge Spell, what would happen? Well, the Coreforge Spell would be on the twins. So we would get more twins buffs. Is this great? Not really. Problem being, you can't really use twins well in a fight if you also want to use Coreforge Spell, unless you want to have the sigil on twins, which I mean, like, our blue hair twin, this guy's not going to move, so it's not really bad. You really don't want to have this on the pink hair twin. She's moving all the time. You're never actually going to get the buffs if you have it on her. It's a little bit crazy. But if we wanted to have this on Shamira, our only option would be to do this and take her out of the bond, which in this situation you wouldn't really want to use the twins then if your main damage dealer really isn't in there. You really want your main damage dealer to be in there. So doesn't really work well with twins, and teams without twins don't really work well, which is then the next mean thing. So probably we can get another damage record. We can kind of take a look at it. Yeah, you can see it is on the twins. The other twin is moving in a second. We keep it, of course, as long as we have it on this twin. The ult doesn't really matter. Oh, it does actually. It does! That is crazy. I thought it doesn't. Okay, that is crazy. Every time they cast the ult, they take it away. Okay, that never mind. Never mind. So that is really, I mean, like, even if it was on the twins, it would be bad. Even if it worked on the twins, it would be bad. But we can't even get to the haste buff. You could, in theory, build it on Shamira alone. I tried that, wasn't really worth it. So overall, I don't know if we have a specific situation where we can have one hero standing around. Maybe if Oli was still meta. Maybe if we didn't have twins, this would probably have been insane in Dream Realm. So for this, I don't know. Like, I feel the control immunity part is a little bit of a buff. While standing on the sigil, the ally becomes unaffected. That means immune to all control effects. And nonetheless, he can still be affected by control effects. So I feel like this part is a bug. Shouldn't be the case. So that if that is fixed, I mean, this is a little bit more interesting. The interaction with Dionel, I mean, maybe Dionel comeback. It's a little bit slow, but if you have like a P4 Dionel, you build the team around it, you have a good Leica and something, maybe something that Brownie can try. Maybe we get a follow-up video on Brownie's channel with that, because I don't know if he has like a cool Dionel. That would be nice. That would be nice. If we have Pioneer, that would be interesting. So this is something, an artifact where I can see some disadvantages, but I don't quite yet see the team around it. I don't quite yet see the point where it really becomes insane. And that is also partly because, well, the meta PvP units at the moment, something like Athalia, is really about moving. Kulu still has too much movement, surprisingly enough. Shamira, you have the weird positioning, but it would work in theory. Siren on it is just not really worth it. I mean, we can take a look at the fight against Turtle Lake. And what I'm doing here, by the way, because of the Savina, I'm just letting her hit Ludovic. He's natively unaffected at the start of the battle, so he doesn't get stunned, and he will stun her instead, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so really, I kind of struggle to find the good combinations. But with Dionel, maybe if you have him on your account, maybe try to build a cool team, maybe try to build something like this, and see if it works, see if it is something that is nice for you. 100 speed could be fairly interesting. And one more thing that we have to take a look at after this fight is a little bit of a further look into the future, a little bit further into the future, a little bit of something that we haven't quite taken a look at yet. I hope we can defeat those guys, because Ludovic together with Thor, we would just skip that, I think, because this is going to be sadness. I see a loss coming in here. I get destroyed by Thorns there. Doesn't matter. The thing that I wanted to show you guys is the last effect, because we can always scroll down. They made an effect here at plus 30. Last season we only got to plus 25, and now we have plus 30, and this one I haven't showed you guys yet. If the magic sigil remains active for 20 seconds, converts 35 of the affected allies damage dealt to true damage. We had this last season on some heroes, for example, was Hugin really, who had this in his charms. This season we don't have that. So the true damage conversion, that could be fairly interesting. Could be fairly cool. If this is our only way to get this specific effect, well, this could be powerful. And keep that in mind, by the way, all the artifacts have some special effect at plus 30. Might also be partly, the reason for this might also be partly that the season plan, phase goals, season artifact level cap in phase 2 as 25 and only in phase 3 as level 30. So we'll expect this fairly deep into the season to only see this effect. So will still take some time. But I hope you like this video. Maybe we will see a Dionel comeback. I'm not too sure. Certainly we got to see some impressive gameplay of him. A little bit of a comeback there. And other than that, maybe check out our sponsor if you haven't already. And as you know, that is Lootbar. Always available with the best package deals, with the best prices for all of the Dragon Crystals. I know you guys like the big Dragon Crystal package. You can get them through direct top up and through lock-in top up. Personally, I use the lock-in top up as this is a little bit cheaper, and you get a few more Dragon Crystals there. And also, on top of that, you can get a 12 and an 8% discount coupon if you register through the link down in the description right now. And this will, of course, make your Dragon Crystal purchases even cheaper, which is absolutely great. Bringing quite the distance there to the Farlight Mall and the offer from AFK Journey, which is absolutely enormous. I'm using it myself all the time. And of course, this now at the season start, we have a lot of pop-up packs. Maybe you want some of those. Maybe you want some of those Stellar Crystal packs for Kulu. I will certainly get some of those. And for that, I wish you a great day. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a subscription. And with that, we'll see us in the next one.